That's the information that I found. So feel free to correct me in the comments if it wasn't 90% or if it's 99% or whatever you want it to be. Whatever number you want it to be, just put that in the comments.
Can't afford to eat? Well, we got you, but we're also going to create a massive amount of debt that you're not going to climb out of.
Generational debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
what was it? If memory serves, the largest group hanging was signed off, penned by the hand of Abe Lincoln. So he's Elon Musk, Nancy Pelosi,
yes.
all wrapped into one little scummy scumbag.
Yes. Yeah. I can't wait to read the comments of people defending Leland Stanford.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, you saw how up in arms they got about old Doc Fauci.
Yeah, who's a criminal through and through, and it's painfully obvious. So I'm sure those same people will be right here like, no, Leland Stanford's a great man.
That's my alma mater.
So, hey, let's talk about how great he was. Let's get into his aggressive exploitation of Chinese laborers.
Please extrapolate.
Yeah. So this totally awesome saint of a human being, Leland Stanford, knew that there was an aggressive or a very large amount of Chinese laborers available who were failed miners. So they needed work. And so, as was not uncommon at the time to exploit workers to begin with, they were out west where they could exploit them even more aggressively. So, and they had experience. They were all miners, so they knew how to, dig into land and effectively do the job. Right. They already knew how, so he didn't have to train them.
If nothing less, how to stay alive out there and how to use a pick and a hammer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So they actually represented over 90% of the entire workforce that built the railroad. Now, I don't know if that's exactly correct. That's the information that I found. So feel free to correct me in the comments if it wasn't 90% or if it's 99% or whatever you want it to be. Whatever number you want it to be, just put that in the comments. So these guys would work 6 days of straight labor from dusk till dawn, and then they'd have a day off. Sunday was their day off, but it wasn't a day off if you were working 18 hours with a pick,
right?
And then 6 days in a row, and you're underfed, you're not getting paid, or when you are getting paid, it's not the agreement, because there was a lot of that too. The extortion of the workers was just running rampant.
Yeah, because
there's nothing they could do.
Basically, if memory serves, it was almost indentured servitude, because what they were creating was like, hey, we're the railroad and we have all the supplies that you need to not die while you're out here. Oh, and by the way, it costs more than you make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so they'd put them on like we'll put it on the books. Mm-hmm. Next week would roll around. They still wouldn't have enough to cover their weekly, but they also, hey, we'll put it back on the books. And these poor workers were basically just slaves because they couldn't climb out of the debt.
It's so evil. It's funny. It's almost like what would be a way that governments and businesses would do that now? I wonder if everybody had a monthly subscription to literally everything. I wonder if that would be a way. And then when you pay off your debt, your payments are just the interest payments, so you never.
Are you talking about usury, sir?
Interesting. And how it's pretty much exactly how everything operates today. Yeah.
Right.
Borrow money from somebody.
Can't afford to eat? Well, we got you, but we're also going to create a massive amount of debt that you're not going to climb out of.
Generational debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
what was it? Dang it. I keep wanting to say Tennessee Ford. I'm completely off, but there was a singer when I was a little boy. My grandma used to have a record of, I want to say Tennessee or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he had a song about it where it was 16 tons and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Mm-hmm. And it's talking about like the atrocities that happened out there and just how they were putting people into slavery without calling it that, oh, you wanted to be here. Now you're here and you can't climb out of this hole. Yeah. So, yeah.
Unbelievable. Ultimately, the death toll, because of course the railroad wouldn't keep records of deaths, right? Why would you keep track of something wildly incriminating? So it's estimated that on the low side, there are 1,000 Chinese workers that died building the railroads, but that's on the low side, and there are projections that are as many as 5,000. I don't know what number is accurate, but the fact that even, one person would have died building a railroad because of the conditions that they were in is absolutely appalling.
I can see a couple deaths by accident, stuff like that. Like my grandfather was a miner.
Did you just make it okay that?
No, let me finish.
All right, because that didn't feel right.
My grandfather was a miner, and he had an accident with dynamite and blew himself up. And dude literally like dragged himself to a truck and drove himself to the hospital. So I'm just saying things...
Doing dangerous work can have dangerous repercussions.
Right.
Totally fair.
Things can happen. However, if it's like everybody's dying because they don't have enough food...
Right. The circumstances that they were under, the work conditions and the lack of food,
yeah,
they were dying because of that, not because of accidents. I mean, I'm sure accidents were happening too, but if you're working 18 hours a day, 6 days a week, everybody's making mistakes.
Right. And the fact that like it would... So long as it's not, a corporation that's protected, it would absolutely be like, whoa. You made how much money and you thought you were only going to take this small percent and move it to supplying food there? That's wild. Like nowadays, more than likely, especially if like somebody did a documentary on it or something like that went viral, like they absolutely would be brought to justice unless they're protected. Yeah.
No. So, and then one more quick note here on the stolen land bit is that when there was a piece of property that they wanted, like there's land that was owned by somebody they wanted, eminent domain, those people had 24 hours to vacate. So
seriously,
we're coming back the next day. So here's the deal. Hi, I know you've never seen me before, and you probably haven't seen people in 10 years because you live out in the middle of nowhere in this country.
Right.
But also, so here's who we are. No way to validate that back then, but here's who we are. The government's given us permission to take your property. You have to be gone by this time tomorrow. Like, no, but I'm drawing pistols. Like, get off my lawn. Get out of here. But then they show up the next day with crews of people and guns and physically make these people come. Like, how absolutely insane is that? Government knew this was happening, didn't care because they needed the railroad to get built.
And is Lincoln still alive at this time, or was he hanging out in theaters?
So, yes, Lincoln was still alive.
Well, I mean, obviously he was alive when he signed it. I just didn't know if majority of this was happening before or after his death.
So if he died in 1865, this is happening while he's alive. And then I'm definitely continuing on after that.
Well, let me just interrupt as well. If memory serves, the largest group hanging was signed off, penned by the hand of Abe Lincoln. If memory serves,
who was being hung?
Indigenous people.
Oh.
And it was like women and children and men.
Did he know?
He signed off on it.
I mean, that's an interesting thing to look into.
Yeah.
I'll do a little bit of homework on that. But anyways.
We can end up talking about that for an episode, I'm sure. Abe Lincoln, not the great dude you think he is.
Oh, boy. That's going to get us some love.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Anyways, so ultimately, you get the idea. The guy had a monopoly on the railroads, and also because of this, he had a monopoly on shipping. Because once the railroads were up and running and getting to these different destinations, at that point, there's not a better way to ship anything. It's the only way to ship anything.
Right.
And he had complete control over everything. So pretty unbelievable. And just to create some context on his wealth, Leland was worth over $50 million. Today's equivalent is $1.5 billion. The guy was the equivalent of today's billionaire, and he's got the corner on railroads and shipping. So his wealth is only going to continue to increase.
Honestly, I think that's a super lowball estimate.
Was he worth more than that? Probably. And as he continued to, as time passed, he continued to grow that wealth because, again, like having all of that control over the shipping, I can't even imagine the amount of wealth that he drew from just the shipping alone.
And he was with, you said Pacific?
Yeah. And Pacific later took over a couple of the other smaller railroads. I didn't get too deep into that because I didn't want to stay here for 3 hours and lecture people. I just couldn't believe what a dumpster fire this guy was. And again, I know it's not front page news, but just, wow, this is gross. So let's see here. Much of the money that was paid by the government, roughly $75 million, so effectively a little over $2 billion today, was used to fund the university. He took $75 million fraudulently from the government. That money was supposed to go to the railroads. He used it to funnel into building the university.
And I just searched it up, asking how much the Pacific Railroad was worth in the 1870s. In their time, $391 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the scummy Elon Musk of the 1860s, 1870s.
And he's a U.S. Senator. He has basically complete autonomy.
So he's Elon Musk, Nancy Pelosi,
Yes.
all wrapped into one little scummy scumbag.
Yes. Yep. Well, he wasn't little. He was a little chonker.
Are you tired of big corporations farming you for views? So are we. We're just two poor guys that are trying to put together a podcast. So if you can give us some help by doing a like, share, comment, subscribe, or save, it helps us trend in the algorithms. Thanks.